Welcome to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 56 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. We're going to be hacking on Firefox. We're going to be doing some cool stuff today. And this is a little bit of an unusual episode. I don't know if you noticed, but my camera angle is a little bit different. Um, Everything's a little bit different. I'm putting it I'm putting something new to test here where I don't have most of my normal equipment. In fact, I'm not even in the Mozilla Toronto office today where I normally am. I'm actually in an apartment out in another part of North America just to see if I can do this sort of thing remotely. I mean, that's not why I went somewhere else. I just happened to be somewhere else, and I brought some equipment, just a small kit, to see if I could broadcast, and it looks like it's kind of working. So I'm going to switch to my screen now, and we will figure out what we're doing today. Okay, so let me bring up the agenda, and then let me bump up the font so that you can read it. Okay, so today is May 11th, episode 56. Hopefully my microphone is on. Just double checking there. Yeah, and I'm recording. All good. Okay. So this is the first remote episode I'm doing. If this works out, if I can make this work, then I might do this for, you know, anytime I'm traveling and, I can't be in the office. Maybe I can make this sort of thing work if I can get this small kit working. So, I want to mention that there is another episode of The Joy of Automation that was recently posted where you can watch WLock hack on Perfherder, which is a tool you probably have seen me use. He fixes a bug in there, and I learned actually quite a bit about Perfherder just watching this episode. So I suggest you check it out if Perfherder is a thing that you're interested in, or just general web development. It's a great episode, so check that link out. This whole like agenda thing that you're looking at right now, this is available to you if you're new. If you haven't seen this before, you wouldn't know this. But if you scroll down to the additional links section, if you're watching this on Air Mozilla, or it'll be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, um, there's a link to this agenda, and you can sort of follow along and click on the links and stuff. And so you don't have to like try and type out this URL inside this video. So yeah, I invite you to follow that link and check out that episode. So speaking of episode, what are we going to be doing today? Today we're going to continue what we started a couple of weeks back, where I was refactoring NS Window Watcher. I've actually done quite a bit of work on that in the meantime. I did some other stuff as well. I haven't just been working on that. But I've reached the point now where I've got what I want working, but I need to clean it up. I've sort of hacked together a solution that does the job, and I need to make sure that it's correct. And I also need to make sure that I don't have a bunch of duplication, because currently I have a bunch of code duplication. So I need to sort that all out. So let's get started. I'm going to play a sound. I also don't have my tablet, so I'm using Wacky Morning DJ on my
Here we
phone.
go!
Whoops. There you go. All right. So what are we doing? This is all for an unrelated bug. I'm actually going to close all these files. Should have done this before the episode started. Okay. Close, close, close. What I want to look at is NS Window Watcher. This one. Okay. And I'm going to bump up the font a little. So I've got what the important thing that I've been working on is this function called open window for tab content. So this is the function that will be called in the parent process whenever the content process has asked for a new window to be opened. So if let's see, I don't think it handles creating a new tab or anything. It's just for creating a new window. So we do a lot of checks to make sure that, everything's hunky-dory, and we look at the arguments that were passed up by the content, we sanitize them, and we make sure that like they're doing things that only content can do. And then we create the window here, and then we have to size the window. And that's what I was working on most recently, was trying to size the window. and that's where I think I've done a lot of duplication. Like there's a bunch of duplication in this function as well, compared to the code where we open a new tab or a new window in the single process case, because this is only used in the multi-process case in the parent process. And so there might be some deduplication I can do. But for now, this is actually quite a bit simpler than what we were doing in the, like this is the single process case right here, and like there's a lot that goes on. If you haven't, if you're not familiar with all this stuff, you should check out the last episode, because I kind of go into this, and it's a big function. It does a lot of things. It's like 500 lines in total, maybe. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that goes on to that in that function. Anyways, I boiled it down to just these bare essentials of what it needs to do, and it calls a lot of helper functions in order to um, do its thing. And I just realized now that some of this I don't actually need to do. Like, I got this open window for tab content. I'm actually calling, I've just realized looking at this, I don't want to call this. I want to call this. So I'm going to get rid of this. Pretty sure I don't want that. I want this. The other one's used in the single process case. And this function inside here, I'm doing a lot of duplication with the single process counterpart. So I thought maybe we could take a look today and try and deduplicate some of that stuff. So the first thing I want to do is I just made a change, and I need to make sure that everything's still working. So let me bump up my font size, and I will build. And while we're waiting for that, just gonna. Oh, doesn't like it for some reason. Use of undeclared identifier, new tab parent. Oh, I have to do, of course, I have to do this after this. Because I need to get the tab parent. Building. I'm going to actually bring this terminal up, make sure, because I know that the bottom of my terminals have been cut off in the videos. I need to like set the dimensions right, but in the meantime, I'll bring the terminal up. So, done building. And now what I've got is a test that I can run. It's the test, our browser new content, new sized window is what we want. Browser new sized window. So that what that's going to do is make sure that when we ask the content process, or when the content process asks for a new window of a particular size, that the parent opens it at that size. And whenever I say at that size, I mean that the content area is that size, because there's also like the outer window UI that's slightly bigger. That's not what the content is supposed to be able to define, how size the overall window is, just the content area. So we need to test to make sure that the content area gets that size. So that's what this test does. So it's going to open some windows. First it opens that, then it opens another one. And we're going to see what the results were. Hopefully we got good results. Hey, we passed. So that's what I wanted to see. So that's good. That was according to plan. So what I want to do now, I'm going to actually commit that before we continue. I'm pretty sure this most latest patch is, where am I? Create a new helper to method to properly resize. Yeah. So I want to commit amend to fold the changes that I just made into the most recent commit. Okay. And now let's figure out what we can do in here. So like this is the static function that I'm calling, and it does some sort of tab parent specific things, but for the most part, a lot of this is actually copied verbatim from the size opened doc shell item, which is down here, which the single process and the single process case uses. And so we want to um, deduplicate as much as possible. I already made some notes about what's duplicated and what's not duplicated, and I want to kind of try and come up with a plan on how we can deduplicate things. So, what's the plan? Well, if you can, if you're following along, open up the notes for this bug 1267720. Um, and I've got some here. I'm going to bump up the font size again. Whoop, too much. I've got some notes down here where I like start breaking down this size function and talk about like which things can be shared and which things cannot. So there's like this preamble stuff. Um, And I think what I'm going to start by doing is examining, like trying to break this function down into chunks, like what exactly each chunk is trying to do, and try and group things together into like logical chunks, and then see what things need to go into those chunks and what things come out of those chunks. And maybe we can turn those chunks into helper methods that are common, that can be used between size open doc shell item and size open tab. Was it tab parent? Size opened tab parent. So let's break it down. So the first thing we have here is a preamble. So we define a bunch of variables that we're going to be needing throughout, and that's a bad sign because that to me says that like these things are going to be manipulated throughout, and that's not exactly a bad sign. It just means that like what you've got is this sort of external state to all of this stuff that's going to happen in the function. And so a lot of the stuff down below might rely on all of that state. It might be using all these variables, which isn't great. It just makes things just a slightly more entangled. Um, So the first thing we do here, this is very, like I say in this my note here, very doc shell item specific. And I'm able to, like what we do is we get what's called the doc shell tree owner. And what that is in the single process case, everything that loads a document has a doc shell. And those doc shells form a tree. And so that's why if you have a doc shell or a document that loads an iframe, there's a separate doc shell for that iframe. And then if that iframe opens an iframe, like all the way down, turtles all the way down, they all have doc shells, and there's this tree of doc shells that you can have. And the outer browser window markup also has its own doc shell. And then there is what's called the doc shell owner, the thing that is like at the root of all of these doc shell items. That's the doc shell tree owner. And in this case, the doc shell tree owner is the actual base window, the outer Zool window, and we can work with that. We can do some things with that, um, and that's what this tries to do. I mean, actually, it gets a reference to the base window, the tree owner base window, and then it's trying to like size it properly. I mean, that's why it gets it so that it can size it. Now I already extracted some of this into a helper function, so that's good. This thing was nice and isolated. I could like extract that out, and that was easy. Um, in fact, what I could do right away is I could call this helper function, get zoom from parent. Um, I could call that inside the other helper function down here. Get zoom from. Oh, I already did. I already did that. Okay, that's good. So that's done. And so we had like some logic to extract the zoom, like how much the outer window might be zoomed, and we copy it. from the parent, because like every time a window opens, or usually when a window opens, there's a parent window, the window that asked for the new window to open, and so we like copy certain things from the parent window. In this case, we copy like the zoomedness of the parent window into the new window. Right. So what else? Let me keep looking here. This is all common. We get like the tree owner. We get the scale, the unscaled device pixels per CSS pixel. And that's important because the content has asked for things in CSS pixels, and we need to convert those into device pixels. So we need to get like a sort of a scaling multiplier. Okay. Is the outer Windows tree owner. Right. So this is actually all common as well because even in the multi-process case where the tab parent has been created and there is no doc shell that we are aware of in the content process, like we have no access to it. The tab parent has itself a frame element or like an element that it belongs to. In this case, it's like a what's called a remote browser element, and like it's like an iframe except it's a Zool browser, and that element is loaded inside a doc shell for the like browser window, and then we can get to the outer like the doc shell tree owner of the window through that pathway. So instead of going through the doc shell that is trying to load the content, which we have no access to, we go up a couple of levels and we access it through the frame element for the tab parent. So this is all actually quite common. We can use this stuff, and I wonder how we can. Oh, and this stuff I cannot use. So this is not common. And what's it doing? It's around shell scale, Chrome width. It's getting the size of the shell. So it's getting the size of the iframe in the single process case, which I can do actually um, by looking at the size of the Zool browser, actually. So I can do that. But I can definitely do this. This stuff is common. All of this is common where we like so a size spec came in. A size spec is one of the arguments that comes in, and then we like do all these calculations where we set things like width. And so maybe this is something that we can extract because we're doing all these like size spec calculations, size chrome height. It's false. Now all these like side effects too, which isn't great. I'd love it if we could like extract this into a helper method. And then there's a bunch of stuff in here. Okay. Let's just look at this one set of operations right here, where what goes in is a size spec and what comes out is some other stuff. So let's just look at this for now. I'm going to extract this all into a new section of my note. And we'll do the security stuff in a separate chunk. Let's do that in a separate chunk. So I'm sorry I'm scrolling so much. That's probably really hard to read. But let's just look at this one chunk. So what goes in? That's the first question. What's going in? Well, a size spec inputs are a size spec, and we also need opener zoom. outputs are left top. It's going out here and here. Size specs used, and then width comes out. And opener zoom. Now size chrome width is also something that comes out. Chrome width is also needed. Inputs, it needs chrome width. And then, let's see. Size spec. We're also setting height. Not surprising. Size chrome width, height. And size chrome height also comes out. I don't exactly know what these two are. We should probably understand that. Otherwise, size chrome height is false, and then we set the height minus chrome height. Otherwise, height is that, and then position specified. This might actually be like a leftover. I think we can get rid of that. But all of this stuff, I think, might be extractable. The inputs were, oh, and do we need chrome height as well? We probably need chrome height, yeah. Inputs were size spec, opener zoom, chrome width, and chrome height. What came out was left top, height, width, size, chrome width, and size, chrome height. What does this mean? What are we doing? So the size spec is a thing that is generated based on the sizes that were passed in the feature string from content. Not just the sizes, but the position as well. And the first thing we do is we check to see if the left was used. Left allows, that's for positioning where the window is going to be, left and top. So yeah, left and top tell where the window is going to be. Height and width say what size it's going to be. And I don't know what size chrome width or size chrome height is all about, but we're going to find out. So we compute the left and the top, that's easy. And then width and height are different. So if an outer width is specified, when is an outer width specified? And is that even something that the content process can do? Let's find out. What is M outer width specified? There's this size spec struct. Outer width. Calc size spec. If temp win has option features outer width, MU's default width is true. Otherwise, the outer width is the value. Is that something that is part of the window opens features string? I think I need to refamiliarize myself. Outer width. So, okay, there is this outer width thing that is supported in all of this in the Netscape browsers, Mozilla browsers, like the SeaMonkey thing, and Firefox. So we support that. Outer height is the whole window height versus inner height, which is just the content area. Which is interesting. I'm surprised that we support outer height. Do these not require? Huh. Doesn't look like they require like particular permissions. All right. Inner width, inner height, outer width, outer height. Got it. Man, that's an old looking browser. Look at that browser. That is old looking. Poor. Have you checked out, by the way, that my tabs are gone? What I've got this like side tabs thing going on. If that interests you, this is just a little sidebar. Check out testpilot.firefox.com. there are all these like experiments going on, and I'm trying all three right now. Activity stream, tab center, and universal search. Tab center is the one that puts my tabs on the side, and then like I can, you know, I can pin this open, or I can like have it collapse like this, which is nice, and it gives me more room for content. And actually, I can read, I think, because the tabs don't shrink as I open more and more. In theory, I'm able to like find my tabs faster, but I'm not sure if that's the case yet. But that's what the experiment's about. And the other ones are pretty cool too. Activity Stream, it's great stuff. Great team working on that, and Universal Search, which allows you to do richer searching within your awesome bar. So just a little plug there. In the meantime, let's go back to what we were doing. Let's look at this note. So it's possible that the outer width was specified, and if we're not using the default width, then the width, I see what's going on here. So size chrome width, like we can compute two values for width. They are, oh, I see. The width is either the inner width or the, oh, like the inner width, like the content area width, or the, oh, a question has just come in. The question is, can you use those experiments in Developer Edition? Yes, I believe you can. In fact, I saw a really excellent screenshot from somebody. Let me see if I can pull it up. Someone was doing like, how do I search here? Tab Center Test Pilot. Someone was doing like, they had Test Pilot, and they were doing, they had Developer Edition, and the theme looked really cool. I can't find the screenshot. That's not it. No, no, that's not it. But like someone posted a screenshot, and I thought it looked pretty cool. So yes, you can do that in Developer Edition, and you should go check it out. Okay. Meanwhile, back here. Um, so yeah, that's what this Boolean is all about, on whether or not we're specifying the outer width or the inner width. And I wonder if we can do that in a better way. So how's this used um, elsewhere? Size, Chrome width, and then later we figure out, we use it when setting up the rules for things. And okay, and then we use it to choose whether or not to tell the tree owner to size the thing to it, or we just like size the actual window itself to the size. I understand. You know what? I think we can maybe do better. But I'm glad I understand that now. So what this means is, so inputs are the size spec, the zoom, and the chrome width and chrome height. The outputs are the left top height width, and then whether or not we're sizing the full outer window, that's what those other two values are for. I wonder if we could like use the size spec. Like if we could modify the size spec that's being passed in. I know that's not very functional. Maybe we could return a new size spec instead of like having to return all of this variety of things. A size spec goes in, an opener zoom, a chrome width, and a chrome height. Maybe if we spit out a size spec, if we return a new size spec, and then we use that size spec. Let's take a look at what a size spec is. Struct size spec. Total window width, total window height, content area width, content window height. use default width, use default height, inner width specified, outer width specified, top specified. We could modify this a little bit. We could add a new Boolean to say whether or not we should be sizing inner or outer. Outer width specified, and don't use default width. If the inner width is specified. Maybe we could put some more smarts actually into the size spec. Maybe that's where this should go. Maybe we should make the size spec do all these calculations. So suppose we have methods on the size spec for which you pass in like the opener zoom and the chrome width and the chrome height. And then it's able to give you the left, the top, the height, the width, and whether or not we should be sizing the chrome width and the chrome height. I don't know if that's better or not. We'd move a lot of logic into the size spec, and that can be shared between the parent and the content, or sorry, the parent process in both cases, the single and multi-process case. Put the logic in there, and in the end, you still need to extract these numbers, the left, the top, the height, and the width, from the size spec. So maybe what you do is you like have this single function that's like calculate, and what it does is just it spits out, you pass it the opener zoom and the chrome width and the chrome height, and then what it does is it spits out all of these values, or at least the left, the top, the height, and the width, and then or maybe whenever you construct the size spec, what's the constructor of the size spec? Size spec. Calc size spec, you pass in, so there's this calc size spec function. And that's filling the struct with all the things that we care about. Heck, maybe this is where all the calculations that I'm looking at should go, because calc size spec, when's that called? Do we have, by the time that we calc the size spec, do we have the zoom? I believe we do. Or I believe we could get it. What is it? The opener zoom. I believe we could get it. Sorry, let me, I'm not sure if you can see what I did just now. I'm going to bring my window up a little, but I just looked for this. So the opener zoom, we get the zoom from the parent. If we have the parent, we can just pass that. We already have a helper function for that. If we have a parent, So one idea, let me just write some ideas down. One idea. So when calculating the size spec, pass in the opener zoom and have it hold the final size values, as in make it do all of the logic for determining the eventual sizes of things, and also have a flag, a bool on it for whether we should be sizing the content area or the outer window. Okay, that's one idea, and I think that's a pretty good idea. Other ideas. Let's see. Pass the outer. Let's see. What we do. I kind of like that. It encapsulates all of the logic for determining the size of things into this one thing, which is the size spec. Um, and I think the size spec is only used here. Like, I don't think anyone else ever uses it. Size spec. So it would be amazing. And okay, let me see what calc size spec. We get the size spec, and calc size spec gets the reference, and so it writes into size spec. Great. And then we end up passing that whenever we size things. Okay. Okay. So I think I prefer this idea. This is, I think, going to take the rest of the video. Hopefully we'll get it done. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a new method to size spec called calculate get from string, sure, which will take the feature string and extract size information from it. Get or maybe instead of calling it get from string, calculate, extract size information from it, also passing in the opener window zoom or 1.0 if, which is 1.0 by default. I have a default value of 1.0. What happens when you calc size spec and you pass in the empty string? If you are there like defaults? I think we just have these like use default something, use default. like whether it was specified, use the default, or use the default. Okay. We can probably reuse that same logic. All right, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Construct the size spec, pass it the feature string, pass it the opener zoom, and then what you end up getting are, like, it does all of the calculations to figure out what was specified, and then all it has are read-only members for what the actual final width and height, top and left are. How's that? Take the feature string, extract size from it, also passing the opener window zoom, add read-only getters for the top, left, width, and height, for the final top, left, width, and height, as well as whether or not the width and height apply to the content area or to the outer window. Okay. I think that's going to work. I think that's going to also simplify. It's going to centralize a lot of the code, because we've got like a lot of the logic spread between this. I believe this will simplify and centralize a lot of the size calculation code, which is currently spread between calc size spec and size opened doc shell item / size opened tab parent. It will put all of the calculations into the size spec struct. Okay, I think that's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. We're gonna find out. Let's try it. So let's look at the size spec struct. Like, hang on, before I do this, make it possible to calculate the opener window zoom before constructing the size spec. I think that's already possible. Or maybe I should, instead of making it possible, I'll just say calculate the opener window zoom before constructing the size spec. Then we construct the size spec. And that is what we pass into the sizing of the opened thing. This feels better and better and better. This feels like good organization. Follow your do science, but also sometimes it's important to follow your gut. All of the scaling as well. Like, I wonder if we can put all of the logic for this scaling. There's opener zoom. Left. We like overwrite. So we get the initial values, and then if it's specified, we'll multiply the set value by the opener zoom. Tree owner is when we'll get the scale. What's the difference between scale and opener zoom? Get full zoom. Scale, opener zoom. I think scale is, like on retina screens, there's like 2 pixels for every pixel. 2 device pixels for every CSS pixel or something. And zoom is like if the user has bumped up the user has bumped up the zoom of their application, maybe they've hit Command plus and they've bumped up the zoom level somehow in all their applications. So all the device pixels, it might still be 2 to 1 or 1 to 1, but you've changed the dimensions. You've changed the zoom factor. There's a multiplier. All right. So it's been a while since I've worked with structs before. I'm pretty sure that I can just I think I can make some of these private. I'm gonna add a bool of size outer window const. I'm just gonna have it return false for now. To do. So that's the bool that I was talking about here. And what I want is something called calculate. Calculate. And it's going to take in a string. Calc size spec. What kind of string does it take right now? Features, that thing. Void calculate. So take a pointer to a feature string, and then opener zoom, which I think is a double. Yeah. Double opener zoom. What else does it need? Opener zoom equals 1.0. So there's a default on it of 1.0. Const. And here's where we'll do all our calculations. I'm also going to make all of these private. I'm going to initialize, or let's see, to specified, and then I'm going to make these private, public. Bool use default width. I'll expose that. Turn m use default width. Bool use default height. Turn m use default height. And then we're gonna get bool get top. Turn. Wait, is that what I want? If the top's not specified, yeah, then we'll just get the default. Right? M top specified. Where is the... If the top's not specified, then we don't do anything. Okay. Whether or not the top is specified, and then the top. Bool get top specified. Is it worth it to have all of these accessors? I think it is. I think it makes sense. Let's It's just dimensions. 2t get left. Bool get left specified. I want to lock it down so that like nothing can manipulate the internals of the size spec. Like it calculates it once and then that's it. Like you don't mess with them. Calculates it once. And then outer width, outer and inner width, outer and inner height. Content area width, content inner height. So maybe we just want width and height. Bool get width. Turn M width. So that we're gonna have to change. Bool get height. Turn M height. And then like it's not bool. It's an int32t. This is also an int32t. And then whether or not it was specified in bool get width specified. Get height. Oh, you know what? Size outer window. Here's the thing, because I think you can pass in the inner height, but also the outer width. So I don't think this is fine-grained enough. Size. Use outer window width. Size outer width. Bool size outer height. Size outer width, size outer height, use default width, use default height, get top specified, get left specified, get width specified, get height specified. Unless, like, what are the defaults? Is there like a default width that maybe we could store? Use default width. Position. We have this like default width of 100 by 100. What? Interesting. Is that seriously what happens if we don't supply a width? Chrome width, chrome height. Figure out the width. Scale will be 2 or 1. And we multiply if the width is not specified. Like, what happens if I just do like window.open www.mozilla. Here, you can't see what I'm doing. Let me bring this up. Bump up this font size. Mozilla.com. And I don't give it a width. That's not 100 by 100. That's actually the exact same size as the opener window. So does it do something with the parent? Open window. No, come on. Calc size spec maybe? Don't pass in the parent, so can't do it there. size opened. Here's the parent. Do we do anything? We get the zoom from it. And then we get the Chrome window from the parent if the caller is Chrome, but that's not normally the case. Oh, hang on a second. Convert width, height. Height is less than 100. Width is less than 100. Then we set them to 100. Set position. Size if the size specified. Only if the size is specified. So like if I set the width to like 150, then the height is still the height of the opener parent. So where's that height coming from? I think it's just not setting it. Like I think whenever you open a new window, it will default to opening to the parent size. Is what's happening. That is my guess. Okay, also make sure that while I'm here, I don't want to forget something. I've got something else on the go right now. I want to check a try build to make sure it's going okay. Oh no, why is that breaking? Defined but not used. Well, get proto binding from class object. Get proto binding from class object. Unused. Shoot. Okay, before we continue, I need to push another thing to try. Silly, silly, silly. I had like this unused thing, and I have to get rid of it. Meanwhile, let's go back to our struct. Size spec. We've got all these things, and we got the M left, M top, outer width, outer height, inner height. I don't think I want, I think I'm just going to have M width, M height, and then whether or not we're specifying, we're going to use the outer width or outer height. So like M size outer width. M size outer height. M width specified. M height specified. I think that's enough information. So like if the user passes in an inner height and an outer width, then we will have the height calculated, the width calculated. We'll also set the Boolean for whether or not we're sizing the outer width or the outer height. And that should work. If we don't supply either, then we'll just use defaults. The specifieds will be false. If we just, yeah, that'll work. If you don't look at the corresponding width values, even if they're specified, they'll be bogus. Use default width, use default height. Interesting. M use default width. Okay, sure. Position specifies M less specified, so we're going to change these to be M width specified or M height specified. And we have our calculate function here. Okay. So let's flesh that out. But first, I have to push again to try because I made a silly error. Get prototype from binding from class object. I have this unused function. Update 38547. It's for an unrelated bug. Wait a second. Defined but not used. It's totally used. 962. What are you talking about? As XBL binding. And get proto from class object. What? Get proto binding. Get proto binding from class object. 992. Defined and used right there. What are you talking about? And in that case, 962 get pro is unused. Let me just take a quick look at the log here. Defined but not used. But it's totally used. Right here. What? Cached binding. Oh, I don't need to do that. Just do that. Proto. Quit. Wait, what am I doing? What am I doing? Delete that session. And then get proto binding from class object. Right here. It's used, I swear. So I don't know what you're talking about, Clang. Defined but not used. Is it because in an opt build, that's why. An opt build, this is a no op. Debug only, is that what I want to do here? Debug only, DXR debug only. You know what? I don't even think I need this helper function anymore. Get proto binding. Laws assert. I know I've kind of gone off the path here. Like I had all this like stuff I was doing with size spec, and now where am I? Hold on just 1 second. JS object proto obj equals JS unchecked unwrap proto. I'll assert that the class is that, and then assert debug only. That's what I wanted to debug only. And XPL prototype binding equals that proto obj equals that, and moz assert cached binding get rid of that. I think that'll work. And then let's just quickly build that. Make sure it likes it. Mock build binaries. And then I'll push it. Push it real good. All right, so now back to the calculation that we were doing. Calc size spec. So I'm essentially gonna like dump a bunch of this stuff into that calculate. Bool present temp present is false. If temp is when it has object features present or present, and then m left equals temp. If we have screen that, m left equals temp. M left specified equals present. If temp when it has top present, m top equals temp. We're just gonna get rid of all of this stuff. And top specified equals present. Chrome size overrides content size. If we have outer width, if we use default width equals true, outer width m width equals temp, a result m, use, what was it, m size outer width. Outer width equals true. Wait, what? That's what I should be doing here. Not a result either. Use default width equals true, m width equals temp, and then m size outer width. That or that. Temp equals that, then use default width. It's true. M width is temp. M size outer width equals false. Which I'm not sure if we even need that, because that's what the default is. But just belt and suspenders. Outer width, outer height. Result. You're going to use outer width equals true. Let's check on, nope, that build failed. The clobber changed. Great. can build this in the background anyways. Okay. MU's default height is true, else M height equals temp, and M size outer height is true. It's default height, else inner height, M height equals temp, M size outer height, false. And that's it. Now, we can also do the calculations on the opener zoom. So that's, we calculated the stuff. I think that's the right, we've done the right thing there for calculating the size spec, and now there's the stuff in size, opened, doc shop. The whole reason we did all of this is because there's this stuff in here that will do the calculation. If the left was specified, then we'll multiply by opener zoom, setup width, setup height. So this is what I'm going to extract now. Okay. Oops, let's indent that properly. Whoops. Okay. Now, if the left was specified, we can already do some of this. We can do it in line. So like, here, let's drag these out, put them up here. Temp, if the temp has that, or present, M left equals temp, if left was specified, then M left equals M left times the opener zoom. If M top specified, then M top equals M top times the opener zoom. So, left, top, width, height. Width and then height. Okay. So, we're going to put this up in here. If the outer width was specified and we're not using the default width, Chrome width. We never passed in Chrome width. Equals width minus Chrome width. What am I talking about here? So we've got the outer width is specified, so that's in this case up here, that's this branch. And if we're not using the default width, so basically we're talking about this branch, then we should say multiply it by the opener zoom. That's what this is. So M width should be temp times opener zoom. Because outer width is specified and we're not using the default width. Okay, so that was that branch. Otherwise, if the inner width is specified, that's down here. Size Chrome width is false, right? We already know that. And if we're using the default width, then we're saying that the width is the width minus the Chrome width. Otherwise, make it be the inner width times the opener zoom. This I don't get. Minus the Chrome width. Why would that be? Oh, I see. Well, if we're going to use the default width, inner width specified, width equals width minus Chrome width. It's just saying use whatever it already is, which is width minus Chrome width. I think. This is so circuitous. Width equals width minus Chrome width. Size Chrome width is false. And then it just, if not size Chrome width, then we just add it again. Chrome width? What is going on? I think this is all wrong. This is nutty. So maybe what I should say is, if not this. So like, if you're not using the default width, then we're gonna say round it times the opener zoom. I think that's the right call there. I think it's the same thing that we want to do. It's just so complicated. And then I think we're going to want to do the same thing here. Temp times opener zoom. And over here, S2 int round temp times opener zoom height. I think that will do the right thing. I think. Now, probably broke a bunch of stuff here. Let's see if we can get this to build, and then I think I'm going to call it for this episode. Calc size spec is no longer needed, so we're going to get rid of that. So we can get rid of that in nswindowwatcher.h, calc size spec. And now all the callers of calc size spec, there's how many? 1, 2, 3, there's 3 of them. Size spec, we're going to do size spec calculate. We won't pass the zoom because in this case, in the open window for tabless content, there is no parent window, so we'll just do a 1.0. Here's another calc size spec. We'll do size spec calculate, pass the features, but here we have to get the opener zoom. So is the opener zoom used elsewhere besides there? No. So we're going to take that out. Opener zoom, is opener full zoom passed to this function? Yes. Opener full zoom. And it's a pointer for some reason. Nope, it's just that. If opener full zoom. What is opener full zoom used here for? It's not actually used. Size open tabbed parent. When I call size open tabbed parent, what am I passing? I'm passing null. In the, what case is this? For tab content, that's fine. Whoops. In this case, size open tabbed parent. In the tab content case, what am I passing? Null as well. Interesting. Interesting. Open window internal. Let me just take a quick look and see what content parent is doing. Content parent is who like calls open window internal eventually. Opener zoom. Zoom. Full zoom. What's a full zoom? A full zoom is just a float. Well, let's just make it default to 1.0. That's what we should do. That's a sane default. So none of this pointer business. I don't know why this is sometimes being used with a pointer. Open window internal is being passed with a pointer? Who's calling that? Open window internal, opener full zoom. Open window 2 is called if optional argc is greater than 1, greater or equal to 1, then we pass the pointer, otherwise we pass the null pointer. What? Optional argc. What is optional argc? Otherwise we just pass like pointers around. What a mess. Okay. Anyways, so the opener zoom, in this case, we're gonna calculate it from the parent. Were we past one in? Yeah, we were past one. This float, opener zoom. If parent. Well, like min. What was it like? Int 32 min. Is there like a float min? What is this value? Float min. FLT max, FLT. FLT min? Is that used at all ever? FLT min. Not really. Lip sound touch. Is that why they use the pointer? They use a pointer to indicate whether or not to pay attention to it. I'm gonna have to sort that out. Okay, we didn't get as far nearly as far as I wanted, but I think we got a good path onto like refactoring this size spec thing. The time is 2:30. I'm actually gonna cap it here, and I'm just realizing now I probably spent a lot of time just kind of like staring into space, and I'm sorry about that. And I brought up OBS because I don't have my second monitor, and I'm just making sure that I'm visible and audible. So we did okay, you know, like we moved forward. I came up with a plan for the size spec thing. I think it's going to work out. I think it's going to centralize a lot of the logic. It's going to need some like rigorous testing, but I think it's also going to simplify what's going on inside Window Watcher a bit. I'm going to keep hacking on that. But right now, I'm going to call it for this episode. So thank you so much for watching episode 56 of The Joy of Coding. This was moved forward just a little bit. But hopefully next week we can move forward a little bit more. Actually, maybe next week I'll even be done this Window Watcher stuff. I think I'm pretty close. So we will see. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to switch to this. Thank you so much for watching The Joy of Coding. You are a fantastic audience. And what do I have to finish off with? Let me see here. Where's my closing music? Yep, that's all. Thanks for watching episode 56. I'll see you next week for episode 57. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.